This is the Jerk Control 2.
This time it's personnel.
I guess I should probably say something here. It's actually episode 210 of the Tone Control, but it's also that other thing we said, stick around. It's actually pretty good. Hard sell.
Hard sell. Just really lobbing it. It's pretty good.
I mean, listen if you want. I don't know.
It's all right.
Or don't. Whatever.
And welcome to the Jerk Control.
There we go.
This is episode 2 of the Jerk Control. It took us a long ass time to make an episode 2 of this podcast.
Yeah, I know.
Now you're outnumbered. So.
There we go.
That's
we
right.
gotcha.
Yeah, now that's why I'm hiding over in the corner.
I think Derek's been on our show a couple times. We just got to get you back on.
All right.
Even the score.
I'm game. So, as we said last time, Derek's on vacation, doing a last vacation before baby time. And that means I needed to come up with a show to do by myself. And then I decided to not do that and instead have guests to help me.
You didn't want to do the Monday morning Justin Newton podcast?
Well, I even said in Discord, I was like, so guys, what do you think for next week? Should I just rambling monologue for an hour?
Yeah.
I don't think it's a good idea.
Just ramble like Bill Burr about Boston sports for like an hour.
Yeah, it would be rough.
Yeah.
So, right. So this is Kyle McIntyre and
yeah.
waving. And Brian Gower.
I'm gonna do it like the balloon
up
man.
on the top from the Tone Jerks podcast. If you don't know, if for some reason somebody hasn't figured out what the Tone Jerks podcast is, and they were a listener to this show, I'm very surprised by that. But for some reason, I felt like I should do the professional thing and introduction-ize you anyway.
Yeah.
How is it going, guys? What's been up in the years since we've been together?
Well, you want to go first, Brian?
Well, okay. Actually, I was gonna say one thing because I know a lot of things that have happened in those years, and the parallels between what's happened between the Tone Control hosts and the Tone Jerks hosts are getting more numerous and eerily so. Like, you guys used to live near each other and play in a band, and then moved away and now do a podcast remotely.
What Justin's getting at is he hates copycats.
No, I think you're trying to flatter us.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just uproot our lives just to flatter you.
Kyle's like, I'm gonna buy a house in Texas.
This is a good bit.
Con against the Tone Control.
We're gonna cash in. Watch this.
Yeah. Don't worry, it'll pay off in the end.
The payoff is gonna be so minuscule. It's gonna be great.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right. Kyle has moved. We were San Diego based when we started the podcast, and we had a band. Kyle wanted to buy a house, so you can't do that in San Diego unless you're making 7 figures. So and to be closer with family, he's moved to Texas. So
are you gonna let me talk? Jesus,
I know. I'm stepping on your bit. Kyle,
talk about
tell me
what's changed.
Why don't you tell Justin what's happened to me?
Yeah.
I have a cold.
Anyways, I moved to Texas, like Brian said. Bought a house. It's great. I thought you were going to talk about yourself, but I'll talk about myself.
Well, we're talking about really the podcasts. But.
No. We're diving into our personal lives. Okay, I was born in 1988.
My social security number is.
Yeah, no. Anyways, we don't want to talk about me the whole time, but yeah, it's been good. It's been a lot of change. Brian and I have also going from doing a podcast in one room to doing it thousand miles apart. So, but it's had its challenges. Even even yesterday or 2 days ago when we were doing it.
It wasn't too bad, right? No, I think it was the week previous.
Yeah, but you're still talking about it. It's still like,
oh yeah.
Oh, I'm so pissed.
Yeah, my Universal Audio Apollo has been just fucking me over.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be like one of the best interfaces or whatever, and then I'm using a Scarlett 2i2. That works.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean that is we talked just sort of briefly a little bit about this, but yeah, I'm using UA Apollo over here, and mine works like it's supposed to, and it works with Zoom and all the problems you described. I'm like, I don't have any of those problems, and I didn't have to change anything.
Exactly.
And but Derek uses a Scarlett, and that was fantastic. So
yeah,
I don't know.
It's like when I had problems with my HX Stomp. I was texting Derek, and he's like, I've never had any problems. I'm sure it's your problem. Like, you probably did something wrong, Brian. I'm like, he can't even give me that. Like, yeah, it's possibly something wrong with the HX Stomp. He's like, Brian, you fucking did something. Don't ever
talk
about
that capacitor that was rattling on the inside.
Don't ever talk about the Helix line ever again. Don't talk to me or my son ever again. And we haven't talked ever since.
Yeah. Wow. That's a powerful end to the story.
I feel like I'm just definitely a magnet for, like, if something can go wrong with like I don't know, like gear or product or whatever, I'll be the one to find it. And be then like I've had problems with a Focusrite Claret, and that was a whole debacle. My LG monitor, HX Stomp, now Apollo. That's why I'm like,
you want to test bed something.
Exactly.
Send it to Brian.
People should send me stuff. I'm like, okay, I will do nothing to abuse it. I'll just try and use it. And the problem,
then we'll find out what's wrong with it.
Yeah, and then I'll be like, they're like, is there a ghost in there? I probably just cursed. There's probably something
You'll
did.
Be diving deep into that customer service department. Okay.
Yeah.
You get looped around like 4 times. That doesn't matter. The company could be the best customer service. Brian will find the flaws too.
Yeah. I'll be the one. I think I just have like a target that's like, I hate this person. I just have a hateable face and hateable name. Yeah, in my situation.
Hateable email address.
Yeah, exactly. Brian Gower, I hate this person. Anyways, but yeah, no, Kyle had mentioned we've kept the podcast going, and I know, didn't you and Derek, you started the podcast like after you guys already moved apart, right?
Yeah, that's right. We had talked about it and vaguely planned, and then I got married and moved, and we hadn't actually pulled the trigger on anything until and then it was like, okay, so we moved in August, and then September of that year, 2013, we recorded the first episode, and it was like, we stayed closer because of that, right? Mm-hmm. So, it's unavoidable. I talked to him way more than I talked to any of my other friends from New England.
Yeah.
And my wife's always saying to me, like, have you talked to Derek about this yet? Or you should tell him that. And I'm like, I will, like, next week. We have this scheduled time. Like, I almost don't make time to, like,
no, you can't talk until that happens.
Yeah, save it for the cast. You need to save it. Always save it.
I can't tell that story now. Then I won't get a sincere reaction.
Yeah. That's how some of our conversations go. It's like, shut up. We're talking about this later. I don't want to hear about it.
It definitely feels like that, because I think it'll be coming up on a year that Kyle is, maybe another month or so, a year since Kyle has moved. And, I talk to him every week for at least probably 2 hours or so. Give or take if we like miss a week or double up or something. And then I'm like, oh yeah, no, he's not here. He's gone. Like, he's not in San Diego. But I talked to him.
You get home, you're like, Brian? Are you here?
Echo.
Yeah.
Echo.
Yeah. And then, same thing with texting and stuff like that. And so the podcast definitely is still what it always was more just a conversation between me and Kyle.
Yeah.
of like something that we find interesting, and then we just record it. And so it can be topics around music and stuff like that, but it can just be like, oh, we have an idea topic. Let's, riff on something. And, and so it's been going on, I think, just like technical things that we've had to work on. So instead of like, I would just have a portable Zoom recorder, put it in the room, and we both have mics, just right then and there. Super easy because the tracks are already lined up. Boom, done. And then we started adding video, and I'm like, it was still a little bit of a, hurdle, but it's basically, basically just adding on a fucking a camera, and then we did a single shot, and then just syncing up the stuff. And so on my end, just learning editing, and I'm like, okay, cool, that's something different. And then Kyle moved. I'm like, oh shit, I have no idea how to do video.
It was like curveball.
You have more than one video stream now to combine. Yeah.
You thought you were doing really good before. Well,
yeah.
Sorry.
And then, always wanted to keep the audio like quality up. And so we're like, okay, how are we going to do this? And then when Kyle first moved to Texas, he was staying with family, and they didn't have the best internet connection. So streaming, no. But like, okay, so what we did, which I thought was pretty clever, which I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, we came up, Kyle, pat your back too. This idea of, since we had two portable recorders for Zoom, Kyle took one, I have one. And so what we did is just took like an SM, 58 or whatever, or Sennheiser little dynamic mics that we have. And I'm like, okay, and we could just talk into that, but we have headphones, like, and just talk on the phone. So we're talking on the phone. So you're on
a literal phone call, but you're recording just your end of it. Yeah.
Exactly. And then I just do a sync thing of like, okay, Kyle, do a countdown, and then with like I put it on speakerphone, and so I in Pro Tools I'll see the waveform of Kyle compared to my speakerphone conversation with Kyle.
Okay, so you essentially you create his bleed. Yep. Are we talking in present tense? Do you still do it this way?
Currently with the Focusrite, yeah, that's what I had to figure out.
Awesome.
Not with a phone call though. No,
okay,
but we do it over Hangouts. So or Zoom.
Sure.
Yeah. So with the Apollo, it was nice because I could record the incoming call, which I'm sure, or the incoming audio, which I'm sure you can on a virtual track. And then I can't do that on the Focusrite.
Well, actually, that answer is no, but we can talk about that later.
Okay.
That does not work.
Okay. Wrong. But yeah, so I'll just kind of get his bleed by like taking my headphones and I put it over the mic. And I'm like, okay, Kyle, count down, and then I visually just see where they are.
I love how punk rock that is.
It does work out, because the same thing. It's like having decent audio on both sides, and then I can in post mix it up and add whatever compression, gate, EQ that I need. And then anyway, so it's the audio has stayed up, which has been nice. So and it's been a thing that we've been keeping on like weekly, and like I said, it's like it really does help our, I don't know, like for good or bad, our friendship, that I'm like, oh yeah, I'm talking to him every week.
For good or bad, it keeps your friendship going.
It keeps it going. And then
I'm gonna go talk to my imaginary friend. Everyone, be quiet in the house.
Talk to my internet friend.
I'm on a podcast.
My pen pal.
I know this person in real IRL, and then adding the video aspect of it too, it makes it a lot better. And I know you guys recently, maybe the past year or so, added video, and it's just a lot more fun because you're like, okay, this aspect of it, whether you put it on YouTube and you're not like, I'm like, I know we've had some where it's like, oh man, there's a shitload of people watched it, and it's like, oh cool, 10 people watched it, but still 10 people watched it.
It's still fun. There's ups and downs. Yeah. It is, I think it's almost a year or maybe close to that when we started putting things on, making a YouTube version. I do a lot, like for my actual job, a lot of my podcast clients were starting to go in, and I'm starting to offer more like, hey, can you want to produce a video version? Because there is this whole other separate audience. Like there is a demographic of people who consume content on YouTube that is probably mostly video content, but some of it is just audio stuff that people made a video version and put up there. And I've been like, people have come to like, I do another podcast about a game too, and it's like people will come and say like, oh, like, what's a podcast? Like I found you on YouTube. What's a podcast? And it was like, I've been doing this for like 7 years. And then you found me on YouTube and said, what's a podcast? Like, you know?
Yeah.
But for us, it was actually, oh God, it was some problem with what we were doing. Like we actually used Google Hangouts for a while, and then that started to frig up on us. And I don't know, you know how things go, like some software updates, and it was what's going on with Zoom with you or something. It just stopped taking the audio correctly. And it was like, what the fuck is going on? And then we moved to Discord. It was like, maybe we should do this, even though it's sort of becoming something that's more than just games. And it was like, wait, we can share video in here, and then we could do this, and then we would actually have a reason to have a Patreon because then we can have something that we can offer, and then it just all snowballed. But I sort of did the opposite. Instead of learning to video edit, I figured out my way around OBS for various things, but I just composite this all live. Like what we're doing now, that's what's going to happen, and I have no intention of editing it at all.
No, so. I like it. There's different ways of doing it. And yeah. I mean, I would like to probably maybe add more like fun things for like, in OBS to do for the, YouTube stream, but I'm still figuring out video and audio. So I'll worry about that later. But yeah, so far it's been good. But yeah, like I said, there's a lot of like, I don't know, parallel similarities between the podcast and stuff like that. But I think, it's mainly, been fun. It's like when it stops being fun, and it hasn't yet. It's still like, I'll go back and even edit the podcast that we do, and I'm like, oh shit, that was a funny joke, and I experienced it, and I was there, and I'm still laughing, and then
you still got it on the rebound.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, that was good. I'll be like editing maybe like 4 days later and text Kyle. I'm like, remember when we said that? That was funny. And I'm like,
I won't. I'll be like, what are you talking about?
I don't remember. I'm like, you're the one who said it.
I'm just dropping lines, dude, and walking away.
Yeah, just these fadeaway jumpers, and then Kyle just like. No.
Awesome.
And sometimes they're only funny for us. I'm like, whoever listens is like, what the fuck is this?
But that's the thing. Like, the audience comes along with you, and they're like, the audience who's sticking with you is there because they're sort of part of it. It's like being listening to someone's podcast is like being in the room with them a bit, especially when it's like this, when it's like friends chatting. And I hear that all the time too from people. When it's a new person comes into the Discord and it's like, oh, hey, I've been listening for a while. I finally decided to join Discord. And then, talking with us maybe in voice chat or something, either after the show or something like that. And it's like, they feel like they know me. And well, they do know me,
Yeah.
It's like, I know you and you don't know anything about me, and I feel like I'm being a creep. And it's like, no, you're fine. I get it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's I guess, it's similar to like podcasts you can listen to or whatever and choose to.
Yeah.
Everyone, I mean, I mainly listen to the ones where it's like conversation based, where it's like not topics or interviews, where they're just kind of like, oh yeah, more comedy ones, it's like, I'll just talk for an hour and just whatever's funny and joke around. And then sometimes I'll listen to, some of the interview ones, and I'm like, okay, every once in a while I'll pop into like, Jocko, or I recently got, trying to be like, I'm smart. And I listen to like Sam Harris or something like that. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, I don't know half of what they're talking about. But
elevate yourself.
So exactly. I'm like, okay, I have no idea what that is. Click. I'm like 10 minutes in. I'm like, well, I'm smarter. Let's go back to Matt and Shane. The same like fart jokes that they've heard already. I'm like, yes, that's great. That's funny. But I don't know, with the podcasting and stuff like that, it's like definitely finding your niche and whatever people like. And it's like there's so many it's like same thing with bands. There's so many fucking bands, so many fucking like Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, well, you just said finding what people like. There is so many bands, and there is. You won't be able to continue it if it's not what you if you find something that you don't like, but you're doing it because somebody else likes it, that's gonna crash, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. keep that up.
Yeah.
So
unless there's
you got to just push that pavement until people are forced to like what you like, or you just have been there so long that the 10 people in the world who do like what you like, they're there.
Yeah. 5 whole people like us. Yes.
I think that's what we did here. I think that's what we've done.
Just keep on keeping on. And then like, it's finally paying off. We did it.
Well, I think there's a lot of, I don't know, there's a small, like the Tone Control has a pretty small community, but it's like an intense community. It's like everybody's here. There's a lot of chit chat that's always going on in Discord. Like you guys are doing the Facebook group still. Is that kind of like the main thrust of where your interaction is? Yeah,
people can, that and Instagram. I think we're definitely have like different people like on each one. And then some people are like active, active in the DMs on Instagram. And then as opposed to like people who are not even in the Facebook group. And I'm like, all right, that's fun. That's both. And then every once in a while.
It's like 2 different worlds.
Exactly. Yeah. 2 different like people. I think we have like maybe a broader reach on Instagram, but it's not really like as like focused, or people are like as like engaged with that it's even a podcast. Cause like,
our group is like a vacuum, It's like, you're like,
it sucks.
Not that you get sucked in or anything.
It's like it doesn't suck.
It's engaging. Yes. No. Just because it's, it's like its own room, right? But Instagram is like, obviously, like you're projecting out,
It's broadcast
into
instead.
Yeah. And then, our group is amazing, though.
It's a lot of fun.
They call me out on my shit all the time.
Yeah.
Like, Kyle, could you explain another movie word for word? Yeah, tell me the plot line. I'm like, shit, I did that twice in a row.
Yeah. Thanks. Or you make like a joke and it's like, oh, like it does like react, or like people get a reaction for it. And ours are usually like really immature, like, dick, cum, or fart jokes. And people are like, yes, that's awesome. That's what I came here for. And then they like
pay off.
They're like, pay off. They did it again. The tone jerks are at it again.
I go to bed early tonight.
Yeah. Whereas like on Instagram, it's definitely more of like, and I think even YouTube, we're not like, we don't have that many subscribers on YouTube, but I'll just get, because people are watching the video for whatever the thing is. We don't really get a lot of crossover, just people like, hey, here's an hour-long podcast I've never heard of. Watch. But it'll be people who like watch, like some of the videos maybe of gear or whatever. Could be like HX Stomp. I'm gonna watch a video on that, and then or whatever it is, and then people comment, and then I find that if you don't comment the correct things at the correct times, people on YouTube just like, now here's the claws and the fangs are out. And I'm like, Jesus.
Oh no.
That wasn't even a question. Did you want? It's like, oh, you're fucking shitty at interacting with your fan base. Unsubscribe. I'm like, I didn't know you were a fucking fan.
Yeah, you came at me pretty hard for a fan, buddy.
All right, unsubscribe. Fuck you. I'm like, well, he ain't wrong.
You're acting like I got your Subway sandwich wrong or something.
Exactly. Like, even if somebody like got something wrong on my Subway, I'm like, oh man, I'm still gonna eat it.
Yeah.
Everything behind the glass is pretty good. Actually, I don't like Subway at all, but yeah. So I would be the one. Me walking in there is the mistake. So
yeah, but it's on me to blame. It's your fucking fault that you exist.
So, so it sounds like you have a lot of content that's not the podcast on your YouTube channel. Like you have actual dedicated YouTube content separate from the podcast. Are those separate? Do you do the separate channels thing? Because I that comes up in my feed. Like if I'm on YouTube and I'm just like catching up on the channels I follow. Mm-hmm. A lot of it, because I like a year ago I got into game streaming and stuff too, and so a lot of it is like streaming and like how to about Twitch and stuff like that, and YouTube, and a lot. There's been like a ton of stuff that I've seen that I haven't really paid attention to because I just don't think I could care enough. That's like, should you separate your channels? You know, your live streams, your produced video, and other stuff like that. And I'm thinking, okay, so now let's translate that. And we do a little bit, like Derek does some live streams of his pedal demos and things like that. And there's been a couple of other things that have gone up on YouTube. I've made some things, although I think all of my stuff has been secret Patreon business. It's been like behind the scenes how I do crap. And so anyway, That's so it is most of your YouTube stuff not the podcast, and then you started putting episodes up there?
I would like it to be. I'm not as active. I'm not as active as I want to be on YouTube, but I don't separate them, and I don't see a point at the moment.
Yeah,
because I don't think it's as big. Like, there's not enough YouTube following to switch it up. Right now, I just kind of like, okay, I'm trying to get just traction to the channel. I'm like, okay, putting the weekly YouTube videos have helped, and it's nice. I mean, they do.
Okay.
You know, sometimes people watch them, so which I'm surprised. I'm like, I had a IRL friend that I saw. I hung out with him the other day. He's like, oh man, I love watching the videos. It looks actually really good. I'm like, you watch them? Like, he's like, oh yeah, I watch them on YouTube instead of listening to them. I'm like, oh, that's nice. I'm like, wow. I was even texting Kyle, I'm like, there's a person that watches this.
They exist.
Yeah,
they're real.
And then I'm kind of just figuring out what I want to do with the channel. I would like to get Kyle involved more, but I'm like, I can't even get me involved more. So let me worry about me first.
Get that cat involved.
Yeah. And then I am finding out things that I like. I'm like, I'm not a huge fan of doing the demos, but
gear demos.
like, here's a gear demo. Here's fucking a pedal or whatever. But I found my format that I like to do. So I'm like, okay, I just got to get quicker at it. Because it just takes, like, I'm slow at it. And so if I did it quicker, it'd be a lot easier for turnaround. So I found a couple different ways to do it to where I'm like, okay, I intro this, the pedal or whatever it is, and then I just do an over-the-top view. You don't see anything else. It's not flashy or whatever, but it shows, what the pedal or whatever it is, what it sounds like, and it's on a video. So I'm like, okay, that could be a quick one. And then the full-on demo where I do a song, I do a playthrough, I have a little bit more going on video-wise. Cool, I like that. But I mean, I'm like, okay, that's kind of boring. I don't want to just do that, because then I think that's a lot of people. It's like you can maybe build a YouTube channel and then you get sent gear and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, cool. I want more. I can have more stuff and play with it. But I'm like, I have enough stuff. I kind of like really would like more people to watch it and listen to the podcast. So I'm like, okay, what are other things that I like? And like you said earlier, I'm like, you definitely hit it. I'm like, if it's not fun, you don't want to do it. And so figuring out like vloggy type things.
Sure.
Like I've even thought of like, oh, what if we just like play instruments on a podcast, or like almost like a podcast, but we were playing music too, like in a room with somebody. I'm like, okay, that could, and you just talk about shit or whatever. So I've done that a lot with my buddy RJ from Teletalks. He's local, and okay, we kind of fuck around with that. And then I'm like, okay, found something I really like to do that I got to push myself to do is more, because I've only done 2, is studio tours. So one of my favorite YouTube channels, one of his videos. Yep, Andrew Masters on YouTube. They're so like he does them weekly. I love watching those things, and he'll do like giant fucking studios. He'll do small bedroom studios. He does like somebody like converted a garage, or they bought a house and they converted that or whatever. And I'm like, man, I'll spend 30 minutes watching that. And I'm like, man, I have none of that shit. Or you see the smaller guys. He's like, oh, okay. Actually, they record drums in a closet, like it's a master closet kind of thing. And he's like, oh, I can record drums in here. It's a really tight sound. Or it's like, or vice versa, where he'll put like the studio, control room into a closet, and then the drums take up the rest of a bedroom, the bigger room. And I'm like, that's awesome. Dang. I'm like, that's awesome. But yeah, I love watching those. So I'm like, okay, I would love to start doing my own, just totally ripping off that idea, and then just going around to like places in San Diego or Southern California. Well, what isn't a ripoff though? Exactly. Yeah, there you go. Temple there. A little word of the wise. They just rip everything off. But I mean, it's not as
that's not authorization to just rip off everyone now.
Yeah,
I think there's probably like a deeper conversation there. Like what? In fact, so I didn't make a plan. I loosely said, because years ago when we did this, and there was talk about like, oh, we should do another one. And it was like, maybe we should talk about recording stuff, because that's sort of my thing. And I hardly like, at this point, I get really weird when people ask me if I'm a guitar player. That's how little I play guitar right now. But I do have a guitar podcast. So then it's like I have this whole explanation I have to go into, and it's like, oh my God. Okay. But we didn't have basically no plan. This sounds like a very interesting conversation and one possible option for where we could go with this conversation. What the hell is ripping things off? Because this is what I see you guys in my mind. Like you said,
rip offs.
We're just no.
You're hacks.
So fucking perfect.
He brings us on his show, just like take us down a peg.
Okay. God damn. Okay. No, I did not mean to set it up quite like that. I meant you guys, as you were talking about, your whole podcast is just having these conversations that you find interesting, regardless of, and I think it definitely it was conceived as a guitar and stuff podcast. Yeah. But it goes where it goes. What is this something? Is this worthwhile? Am I doing the right thing here? What is a ripoff?
Yeah, go
is
for
this
it.
a conversation? If anybody I could have this conveation with, it would be you guys.
Easy.
He's stepping into it. Yeah, go for it. Like,
am I gonna? Well, let me tell you about how the tone control rips off everything. So
yeah, they pull the curtain back, and it's like, yeah, rip off everything.
Okay.
So what's a ripoff?
Well, what's a ripoff? Because I mean, there's in music, like there's a bunch of everything is always riffing on other things, but then there's also going too far and getting sued over it. And oh God, there's just so much.
Yeah,
there's so much. What do you think? Anybody? He's drinking a giant jug of water, so now Kyle has to talk.
I don't know.
The second one.
It's kind of, I guess, if you're stealing lyrics, stealing music. I don't know if we're talking about music or
we're talking about everything, man.
Everything.
What do you think? Yeah. What does that make you think of? Like, is there a definition of that is applicable to? It's not just about music; it's about things in general. Like if you're telling jokes that you heard. Even like anything at all.
I think if it's the intent to steal, also it's like
if like IP or intellectual property, if I could even say it, like I guess there's definitely a line is what you're getting at here, right? Is
I think
like
so.
the intent, or like maybe if like I'm trying to like. And even profit off of it, but even there's still a line there. It's like you said. It's like, okay, with jokes, I know. Even like I said, listening to some comedy podcasts, some people are like, oh, they use the same premise. I'm like, well, they did something different with that joke than I did. So
and that's iterative.
Yeah, and it's like somebody's like, oh, this person who's a nobody stole Shane's joke. I'm like, not really. They just stole maybe like a part of it, and probably didn't even steal it. It's just like. A setup. Yeah. And it could be just like this person's never heard of this other comic. So, and then music.
Go ahead. No, I thought you were done. No. I'm sorry.
No, go for it.
So I started watching. I've talked about on my podcast, but Pat, was it Pat Finnerty? I always say his last name wrong, but he talked about how like Danny California was a ripoff of like Mary Jane's Last Dance. He's like, it's not even about the guitar. It's like, it's everything else that goes along with it. So it's like the guitar riff is the same from, Red Hot Chili Peppers. But they also ripped off a bunch of other songs and put it in there. And it's like, when did it stop? He's like, if all that was okay, but the lyrics, they even start off with very similar to how, a lot of things are, I guess, with that song. But, he's like, the atrocity is that they just didn't make it a better song. They had all this laid out, and they just made it even less than what that song.
Just made it a shitty song. Like you were maybe inspired enough to like steal that part.
Just
or
be
these
lazy
parts.
with it.
Yeah.
And then, like you're ballsy enough to steal the song, but not make it better.
So and then I'm going to take this. I'm going to try to make money off of it. Absolutely, it's not even the inception was lazy, and the follow through was lazy.
Yeah,
it just they airball it from half court. And happens to hit the floor and bounce in, and then they're like, all right, well, we still make money, so here's
since we're Red Hot Chili Peppers, since we're Red Hot Chili Peppers, we're gonna make a fucking killing on it. But we're not gonna piss off Tom Petty because he's not gonna feel like we outdid him on the song.
He's not even gonna
rake it in.
Not even gonna try to listen to it.
No, I don't think it was. It's just they were lazy as hell. I don't know.
It'd be like Tom Petty's like, oh, you mean to sue them, I have to listen to this song? Forget it. They can just take it.
They can have it.
I'm not the biggest Red Hot Chili Peppers fan. It's like
me either.
I think they're like less than the some other parts because they're great musicians, like bassist, guitarist, singer even he's a great singer. And drums, especially, like they're all awesome musicians, and then you put them together, and it's just like
it's like nobody wants to be there.
Really shitty stew. It's like, oh, I like this IPA, craft beer. I also like devil's, devil's food cake, and then I like this pizza, and let's just put it in a blender, and it's like, oh god,
yeah. So Mike in the chat saying if you're not giving credit as a suggested definition. So that makes me think, I think I like that. And it makes me think that gives license to like this whole industry of, or I don't know, is this a genre of music? Because it's when we're sort of doing a iterative cover song. You're not sounding exactly like it because you want to play the song for fun because you love the song, but you're also shaping it. And so I'm thinking of, it's a funk cover of whatever, or here's a drum cover of this other song. I mean, obviously those are giving full credit, but it's also doing something fun with it. And that's universally celebrated. So easy out there, right? Like if you want, there's plenty of things that you can do that is based on other works, and it comes down to giving credit. If it's something that if it's something that giving credit to the originator doesn't change what you've done or devalue what you've done, then that's it. Like then you've hit it, right?
Yeah, I'm definitely big on like giving credit where credit's due. For like even just small things, like if I do like asides or like topics or on my podcast, not like I said mine, just like Kyle did. It's our podcast.
It's your. I mean, that's the same thing.
Yeah,
we are the same.
I know.
You must walk in with me.
I'm very big, and I know Kyle is too. It's like if something is inspired by, like maybe a couple weeks ago we had an episode where we, let's make our own mini pedal boards. And we were definitely inspired by like, buddy, Johnny Ray, like he posted a picture in our group and I'm like, okay, cool. I'm like, the top, like mini pedals exist, but we were kind of like, oh, he's putting together a board. Like, oh, this is inspired. And we didn't have to.
Yeah.
But I'm like, oh, that's really where we got it, being honest. Or if I tell like, oh, a story from something that I've heard or like a friend, a podcast, whatever, I credit that because I'm like, I didn't take that. That's not my joke. That's not my story. I could just be like,
also if it goes bad, you can just blame it on them. Sorry. Well, I'm just the messenger here.
Yeah. Where I'm like, I heard this on, Matt and Shane, and they talked about this, and then I'll maybe spin off of that. That's definitely a big thing that I like to do is like,
name drop. That's you just like to name drop all day, actually.
I've met Kyle McIntyre before.
Oh,
and then Kyle's like, I'll say that name all day. Where it's like something I saw or did or whatever heard maybe inspired a separate topic or to maybe even riff on the same thing. I'm like, oh, so, where's that meme where it's like somebody's like eating a salad next to like a picture of a bunch of people having fun, and it's like, what podcasts feel like? It's like listening to podcasts feel like I'm with my friends.
Like, Jesus, that's so bleak.
It's like, hey Stavros, what about this, Stavros? And it's like they're not there; they're just in your earbuds or whatever. And then it could be like, oh, well, that inspired me to think of this, so. You could mention, I'm like, oh, they were talking about it on this podcast, but what about this? And then you can riff on it. It doesn't need to be there. Nobody's going to be like we had mentioned before, so many podcasts. And okay, they probably haven't heard that same topic before. Maybe when you get more niche, like say guitar podcasts or whatever.
Yeah.
That's where they can maybe get derivative. So, and that's what, like, try not to do that. And I'm sure you guys are the same way of like trying not to be like, let's all hit on the same topic.
I just definitely don't listen to any other guitar podcasts, and then I'm fucking fine.
That's a way to do it. Yeah. Or you're gonna be like, or even if you're in, guitar news or see guitar, whatever is going on, that's a way too. It's like, okay, it's like, for example, I mean, we're not going to talk about it, but it's like, I'm sure there are a shit ton of guitar podcasts that are going to be talking about, what about the tube shortage? Let's all talk about it. Tube amps dead, everybody.
We probably would be if Derek was here. I'm sorry. That sounded like I was blaming Derek for trying to keep my podcast on track. That's not what I meant. I meant this is a totally different episode, and I don't care like what comes in or out of it. You know what I mean? Like I did not find guitar news only because Derek's not here. I didn't go shopping for guitar news.
Like I guess I would say that because I'm like, if I did that on my show, I've not connected to the news or anything that's going on. I don't have my ear on the streets and like what's going on guitar. I'm like, I just sometimes like I'll see something and I'm like, okay, that came out anyways. Scroll.
What's the deal with those tubes?
And then you're definitely in other groups. At least I'm active enough on Facebook. I'm lurking all damn day, and I see I'm like, okay, the rumblings are okay. I guess there's a tube shortage, and I'm like, that sucks, man. I have guitar amps that have tubes. Damn.
Oh, shit.
Well, I am not a guitar player anymore. So, anyways, let's play Mario.
You're a Mario player now. So if there's a Mario shortage, I'm all ears. Yeah.
Mario and Luigi. But yeah, it's just, it's just like, like, I'm like, oh man, that would suck if I was like going through tubes. But I'm like, I'm like, oh, you can always do everything nowadays digital. I'm like, oh, I have a fractal. So,
but isn't your thing missing a capacitor or some shit?
No, that's the HX style, line 6.
Yeah, I know.
They're the worst.
Just trying to make a very, very, very good joke.
Make a callback here, Brian.
Yeah, that's called a callback, Brian. Come on.
Yeah, keep it up. Keep up with the group here.
Yeah, keep up. Keep it up, Slick. But I don't know. I think it's definitely like each person or what they're trying to get out of it. And if they're trying to be like, oh, I'm original, I came up with that. I'm like, whereas for me, like original content or whatever, I'm like, I'm not. I guess I don't. Maybe I don't know. I'm not so big on my like internet, IP or whatever. Mm-hmm. And if somebody like, oh, can we like, I haven't had that yet. Or I guess like a friend's podcast, I made a demo for a pedal that they were selling, and I'm like, oh, and they were using it for their podcast, and I'm like, I kind of made a joke. I'm like, oh, you guys aren't going to credit me, and then he's like, when somebody asks who made that song, then I'll credit you. My buddy Co at Flippin' Flippers, we just digging at each other, and he's like, and then so he for a while he was making a point to be like, this song was made by Brian Gower, the Tone Church podcast.
To throw it in your face.
Exactly. I think he did it bold. He did no other description for his podcast except for the intro song was made by Brian Gower, the Tone Church. Like just. And so I mean it's just funny just to like rib at each other. I'm like, oh yeah, you really like, you think people give a shit about that song? I don't think so.
Well, that is funny though, because like in a different context where you're not like buddies with the guy, that would have been super like amazingly rude. That's like,
but it also would have been
credit. Like, imagine if somebody you didn't know, you know what I mean? Like, just took, scooped up your demo. That would, oh man. I mean, that's because the internet's full of takedowns and stuff now. That would be, you'd be there.
But respect.
Respect the game.
Thanks for giving me a shot. If
somebody was just like a fucking asshole to somebody they don't know, and I'm like, yeah, swish. That guy just like fucking
dunking on a stranger.
Oh, he just dunked on me and just like
broke the backboard.
And he's sweating Gatorade, and I'm like, fuck, you can have it. I got other songs you want too. But Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It could be just from like I'm here, Kyle. You say something. I was about to go on something else. I'm
Well,
like
yeah. In
stealing
fact,
Kyle's
Kyle said
spotlight.
something because in the lead up to this, Brian was like, "I'm not feeling very well. He's a little sick, so Kyle's going to have to carry this."
Yeah, no.
Can you get this
Look,
guy?
he's a pro.
Look at him.
He's a pro. Look at him.
He's going. Unstoppable.
Well, what do we want to talk about?
He was about to talk
this,
again. Did you see that? He was about to
I know.
talk
I
again.
stopped myself. Justin needs to be a moderator.
I do need to be a moderator. I'll tell you what. I technically, even though I don't have a Pedal Genie pedal here, I am going to play the Pedal Genie ad because everybody in the chat gets to throw gifts. Except our new thing is instead of just butt gifts, we've been coming up with something new each time. Some subject for the gifts. So I forgot to ask this earlier today because, as you know, who cares why? I just did. And so, what's the gifts today while we do the Pedal Genie ad? Everybody throw out suggestions.
See, I always call them GIFs.
No.
That is not what we're talking about right now.
No.
We're not talking about peanut butter, okay?
No, stupid. But it's GIFs. I know it. I've been, but I still call them GIFs.
It's both. Officially, either is correct.
Well, Imgur, what is it?
Nope, that's not real.
Yeah.
Imgur? It's Imgur, right?
Imgur.
Yeah. Anyways,
is there such a thing as gifts? I need something. I can't play the ad until I know what gifts we're doing, because otherwise these poor people in chat aren't going to have anything to type, and I can't end the show until I play the ad. So we're never getting out of here until we.
I'm saying.
Oh my God! They found a GIF.
I am saying we should do dogs, hot dogs,
dogs and peanut butter, peanut butter and gifts.
So it should be hot dogs.
Yeah. It's
hot dogs,
kinds of dogs,
corn dogs.
Yeah. Show us your dogs.
Show us your dogs. Okay.
Boiled. You got to do the boiled dogs.
All right, it's starting.
Pedal Genie is like the Netflix of guitar pedals. Rent any pedal you want for as long as you want for one low monthly price. Shipping is included and there are no late fees or time limits. With over 1,500 pedals to try from nearly 100 different manufacturers, Pedal Genie definitely has the gear you want to try. Subscriptions start with Flex at just $19.95 a month. Try out one pedal at a time for as long as you want. Send it back when you're ready for the next one. For only $39.95 a month, the standard subscription includes shipping, so you could have a different pedal every few days. If one isn't enough for you, Pedal Genie Pro gets you 3 pedals at a time for only $64.95 a month. Shipping included. There's a subscription for everyone, and best of all, your first month is free. If you find the pedal of your dreams, the one you just have to keep, Pedal Genie will offer you a buyout option. Prices vary with the length of your membership and the type of pedal, but you'll definitely get an awesome price for the pedal in your hand. So head to pedalgenie.com to fill up your wish list with pedals, and they'll send out your first pedal ASAP. Pedal Genie, all your pedal wishes granted.
Fantastic. And it's not stopping. It's not over yet. Oh my God, you guys. Okay. Thanks, Pedal Genie. I don't have a pedal, but there's one in the mail to me. You don't get to know what it is until a couple of weeks from now. Okay. Next thing up, we had something come up on last episode. Somebody new to the community, I think new to the community. Now I'm forgetting who exactly it was. But anyway, they've only done guitar stuff in like digital form up until now, and they want to get a tube amp. They want to get a real tube amp. So this is like what should be my first tube amp, a budget of up to around $1,000. And we thought, we didn't really have time for the discussion, and I hadn't really thought about it. And I was thinking this should be like a community thing, and we're going to circle back to this the next time Derek's on, and I got you guys in between. And so what's the pick? And I mean, I feel like there's been a lot of new tech as far as tube amps are concerned, even though the modeling is crazy right now, but there's also been a lot of new cool tech. So what's the amp that is the one amp that ought to be your first? What would be your picks?
And wasn't it like under $1,000?
Yeah,
right?
but we definitely discussed before that like if your answer is like MSRP $1,100-$1,200, like that's legit. Like because if this is going to be your first tube amp and it's actually there's a good reason for that to be the first one, then there's no reason you shouldn't save up another couple $100, you know?
Yeah, and it's also this person is not their first guitar experience. They're playing on computer, and they probably are a little bit more.
Yeah, I think so.
Found their sound, kind of right, and they're now just like okay.
Now I think that they probably haven't, because otherwise wouldn't they know what amp they want already?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's a good one.
So, so it's just more open, like different opinions and why. Like if I pick one, it's going to be because I like that it has the switchable power stage, and I appreciate this aspect of it or whatever. Like Derek has his Rev D20, and absolutely loves it, even though he has 2 Helixes for all the features that are in there. You know.
Yeah, he sold his AC30, right? I think
I don't think he sold it. He talked about selling. Has he sold it? That can't be right.
I thought he did on an older episode. May have been a while ago. Anyways, maybe I got to go back and do my.
I don't think he did.
Research.
I think he still has the AC30. He just hasn't played it in a while because the band's not doing anything, and he had kind of started switching to a Helix board anyway.
Yeah, I think an easy one would just be AC15, AC30 used. Either one of those used would be a great option. But, I mean, because they can get their own drive section if you wanted to like push it and kind of get it into that edge of breakup kind of deal. And then you can just stack a, light drive or something in front of it, and then it'll start to kind of break up more. But if you wanted to go, depending on the player, really, and I know that kind of is throwing another variable in there. So an AC30 isn't super versatile, I would say. They have really good cleans. It is, I guess it is, and that's like another cop out. I'm like, well, it is, but it's also not, because they're just one channel. I don't know of them that they have channel switching. And so to me, I'm like, that's great, because it kind of gives you here's your amp. You figure out the other things. So maybe this person also doesn't have pedals. So, but then you're also throwing another.
But if they get the way I see it though, if they're wanting a first tube amp, then they're wanting pedals.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be worried about that. Yeah. So I think if I'm understanding your point, it's like the AC30 is a classic workhorse clean channel amp, but clean / dirty-ish channel amp, and will force you to learn guitar amp a little bit, right? Like it's like restrictive on purpose, and that's probably what they're kind of after if they're looking to get into a tube amp, right?
Yeah, because digital shit that you can do, and buying neural plugins and stuff like that. There's so many of them. It's like sometimes they're not super expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And even just like changing, different settings on it, or like sometimes you'll buy a plugin like on Waves or whatever, and it comes with so many fucking amps, and I'm like, all right, cool, that was like $60. Whereas buying an amp, I'm like, oh, that's $1,000.
That's one amp,
right? Yeah. $1,000 and it has one sound, basically one sound. Yeah, I think that's a pretty legit answer, for that reason, like the forcing you to, it's like recording on old tech, right? It's like recording with the restrictions. Yeah, for the fun of it. Cool.
Yeah, and I know we've kind of talked about it. Like Kyle, he has an amp over there. A lot of his big bass amps are here in San Diego still. But it was like, oh, should he?
He was like, fuck those. I'm out.
Yeah, I don't need them.
Kyle's like, I'm not a bass player anymore. I'm a guitar player. But it's like we're thinking about getting like if Kyle got a guitar amp, what it would be. But
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, what would you want to get, Kyle? Because I mean, you're not unfamiliar with guitar, but like, what would you want to get?
I would get a bass amp that I would probably use for guitar also.
Yep, done it, been there.
So looking into, I mean, people do that all the time with those what was it? Bassman or the Showman amps, whatever, the Fender amps, right?
Yeah.
But
and even the newer ones too.
Yeah.
The
but I was
Bassmans.
thinking because I was doing a little reading today on it. Was it the V4B or V4 bass amp from Ampeg? Also does something similar. It's 100 watt, so it'd be good for recording, but not heavy. That's going to kill you. And it's an amp I don't have. It's one that Brian used to have.
They're heavy. They're literally heavy. I had a V4 and a V4B. At different times when I was playing bass or guitar, and they are cool in that like single channel clean amp kind of way. I thought it was actually better as a bass amp. In all honesty, but they're heavy as hell. The thing was like 80 pounds.
Not as heavy as a SVT Classic.
Yeah, the Classic is probably.
Maybe
those are heavy.
Has like twice the tubes, twice the transformers in there.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, the transformer is more than meets the eye. It's huge. It is. Yeah.
My friend had one of those that a guy I used to play in a band with before the band that I played in with Derek had a SVT Classic that he got. Yeah, it's brutality. And feeling like the tubes are old in that is an ominous proposition. There is 6 6550s in that son of a bitch.
Yeah.
They're big ass tubes.
Like just buy a new amp, man. Like what?
Yeah.
By the time you're spending half the money for a new amp, practically, that's a little bit of exaggeration, I guess. But maybe it wouldn't be
those
now.
classics. Those classics. I mean, I got mine, I think, for 1100 back in like 06, and I think they've just doubled. I mean, at least the one that the St. Louis made, it's like, cool. I could sell that, but never going to. It's like, I'm never going to get rid of that thing.
No.
It's with me to death. You bury me with that thing.
I thought I remember thinking that was just a great amp, and there's so many like plug-in versions of it now that I've seen and had my hands on. There's the Universal Audio one, which I assume is pretty faithful, although I think maybe it's made after the old one and not sort of the reissue Classic. Like I don't know, like the CL is actually like a modern amp, but it is made to be like the old, whereas
with like
UA probably modeled, like UA probably modeled like a super old one or something. I don't know if that makes a huge difference, but I feel like whatever I'm able to get out of plug-in versions of it doesn't match what I remember about being in the room with an 810 stack and that amp. It's not.
It's like shatters your bones.
It's I mean, that's the thing. I don't know what to. I mean, maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's like unless I actually have the speaker here, I can't approach the actual feel of the thing. I don't know.
Yeah. I think that's something different with like guitar and bass plugins, or like the Fractal Helix versions. Like bass, like can always pretty much sound good because a lot of people just go DI anyways.
DI and a Sans amp.
Yep, Sans amp or
almost
a dark glass.
Yeah.
You're like, even like, a dark glass, which is a little nicer. I'm like, it still sounds fine, but it's not the same thing as a loud amp. And that's where bass actually makes a difference to me. I'm like, where's guitar? I don't really miss not playing a guitar half stack layering in the room. I'm like, well, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, that's cool, but still, I'm like playing a loud bass amp, that's where you feel it. And I think because you literally feel it. It's like, like playing even a 410, I'm like, man, this is sick. We're like, my band, we were doing DI stuff for a while, and that sounds cleaner. But when you actually play like a loud like Ampeg amp in the room, like, oh shit, this is, there it is. That's the pants flapping feeling that like people say when they play guitar. I'm like, you can't get this Marshall and Les Paul. You can never get that out of this plugin. I'll tell you what. And I'm like, yep, I'm sure you are correct. Whereas
I think the recording is probably a little more like forgiving, at least, because people don't really aren't listening for like, but when you're playing it on stage or when you're just even rehearsal, it's like, I'm a fucking master of this big ass 450 pound, like I own this
the
thing.
Air. Watch as it bends to my will.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like, I mean, even for recording when you're mixing and stuff like that, a lot of like the really low subby stuff you're trying to cut out anyways.
Yeah.
Like for bass, I'm like,
Well, that
So you're
must,
that fret noise.
that must have a lot to do with it too, because things sound different recorded because we're not recording them like human ears hear them. We're not recording them from 10 or 15 feet away in a room, right? With binaural microphones, right? Like there's those microphones that's shaped like a head, has the model of a head, and the microphones are inside the ears, and you record things that way. And when you play them back, it's like spooky. You sound like you're in the room with them, right? It's like that realistic because it's the shape of the earlobes and everything. Unless you're recording something like that, that's the way to make it sound like it would. But even then, of course, your pants aren't flapping in the wind. But when you stick a microphone, when you stick a 57 into a guitar speaker and record a giant pants flapping amp, that does sound like these plugins. Like the plugins are accurate, but that's what makes it, that's how we record them. And then we do other things that we manipulate and stuff like that. But that's pants flapping amp. Yeah.
You have to be wearing pants for them to flap, actually.
Oh, interesting detail. Yep.
Yeah,
I get it.
That's it's the fine print they don't tell you about. You always got to read the fine print. Yeah, but no, that's actually a pretty good idea of like having a not only versatile in sound but like instrument wise amp. So I know the Fender Bassmans, like Kyle had mentioned, like the newer ones that came out. It's not just like the ones from the 70s that are 50 watts, but they have a 100-watt version and also the bigger 300-watt version tube amp from Fender, and then also the V4Bs from Ampeg. Those would be great. Never actually really used. I had one. I never really used it on guitar. But it's 100 watts. So like that totally could use it. Use it on bass, and it's cool, but not super loud. I felt like, I wonder if 100 watts would be super.
100 watts tube is not as loud for bass as because it's the low frequencies. You need to move more air, but that's so. I had a V4, and I had a V4B, and they were very similar, but it is actually built differently. Like the preamp stack and stuff is kind of built differently, so they are kind of suited more. The B is suited more toward bass. Also, the V4 had this distortion circuit in it that is, I think it's what's in the scrambler circuit. It's like this really weird diode, like bridge diode clipping thing, but it mixes with your dry signal, and so it's just like it's like adding some fizz in the background, and it sounds wicked stupid. So that amp was that amp on guitar was brutally loud. In fact, I ran it at half power. I pulled a pair of tubes because they're wired inside pair, outside pair. And so I pulled, I can't remember if it was the inside or the outside pair, but I pulled them, and so it would run safely at 50 watts. And that was all you'd ever need for the guitar that I was doing. And then when I was doing the V4B for bass, obviously it was like fully loaded. The most I could get, I was just diming the thing all the time.
Yeah.
and hoping they had a mic.
Yeah. Because I really did dig that amp. And then Kyle was kind of saying, I was like, I didn't play it that much. I played it a couple shows because it wasn't loud enough.
Yeah.
Like for bass. And
I was the one
sounded
going,
awesome. Turn
it up.
And
wait.
I can't. And it's like, it's almost all the way up. And then I'm like, okay, it really can't get there. And I'm like, I can't really justify having an amp like that just for studio stuff. Yeah. Even though now I'm like, oh man, I kind of wish I had it. But anyways, you always regret.
I just brought this topic just so that Brian would regret his selling decision. So
yeah,
you're welcome, everybody.
Yeah. And then like even for gigs, I'm like, you have a Terror bass or use Kyle's SVT3 Pro.
Yeah, because I can't do anything about it. He just kicks my door down and steals it.
Like, give me that amp.
Sitting.
That's
like, no.
Yeah, exactly. It's like 450 watts or something like that. That's a lot more than 100. And so for gigs, that's what I would assume. Like, okay, if you're gigging with that, like hope you probably have a Sans amp, so I'm like, you can go DI with that for certain venues, and hopefully the 100 watts isn't not loud enough for your stage for bass. And then if you used it for guitar, that'd be hella loud enough. And that would be basic, more or less like a clean platform, right? And
Right.
then
Yeah, I wonder how it
stack-
takes pedals, but
I would assume, well, I should have tried it when I had it, but yeah. I mean, I know
it's all country out here anyway, so it's got to be the loudest, cleanest amp ever.
Exactly.
With a Telecaster, just twanging.
Yeah,
all
I mean,
up.
well, there are like punk bands and like, what emo bands or whatever that kind of use that same approach of like the loudest, cleanest amp. I know maybe Kyle was thinking brand new, not Jesse Lacey, but the guitarist had the 300 watt Super Bassman from Fender. So 300 watt bass amp.
That doesn't make sense.
That he was using because he's like, well, I want the loudest, cleanest one. And I'm like, he's basically like, I get all my sound from my pedals. I'm like, all right, well,
there you go.
He's playing a full stack. That's a lot of amp. And then even more extreme is Doyle from Misfits. He's like, well, it's 300 watts. It's the loudest amp, so I want the loudest amp. So he plays the classic SVT.
So I want three
CL.
of them.
Yeah, and I think he does.
Jesus.
So it's like 300 watt. And I'm like, whereas he's like kind of just like want it loud, I want it, and I think he's got like some pedals for his distortion, and it's like always on. I'm like, okay, that's a different approach. I'm like, I want this to be loud as fuck, and I get my distortion from a pedal. Okay, so that's a different approach. So if this person wanted to be super loud, then go for a classic, or they want to be a little bit more tame, but also have a versatile amp for instruments. Yeah, the V4B might be the
So
option.
are we
That's a
coming
pretty good
down
idea.
that basically bass amps are the way to go? So just no matter what you're doing, just get a bass amp.
Yeah. Boom.
I think maybe Kyle mentioned that because that's what he's doing right now. He's liking it. And then don't you have a bass practice amp?
Yeah, I have a little tiny 25 watt is it Fender, whatever, the Rumble, little guy.
That's a good question, actually. So what is, like, for guitarists, there's all these little, like, tabletop, like the tiny terrors and the micro terrors and stuff like that for these tiny little, like, 1 watt, quarter watt, like, monsters. What does a bass player do for their, like, I work at home now because of COVID and I need a guitar amp on my desk situation?
Bass players don't own their gear.
Are you looking down at your
amp? No. I just know bass players don't own any gear, so that's kind of a...
Yeah, I mean,
because they always borrow.
Exactly. You're not a real bass player if you own an amp.
I'm like a unicorn, all right?
Yeah, you basically got to go to the gig. I'm like, hey, bro, I loved your set. Can I use your bass amp?
Yeah.
I'm like,
give you some American spirits.
You were smoking a whole pack outside. I know you didn't.
Yeah.
Dude, I'll trade. It's like prison.
Listen
I'll
to a
trade you a
single
carton.
note.
Trade you a carton for your bass amp, dude.
Actually, you can see it in the picture you were mentioned. It's like right.
Yeah.
See. I can't see it. Hold on. I don't know where my camera is. Screw
What's he
it.
doing?
Anyway, it's in the rack over here. I'm trying to point to it.
Oh.
But I have
He
a
has
delay.
He does
I
have
have a delay, so I see my arm move like way later. So I'm like, so I'm suffering a stroke.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I got a stroke for you, pal.
Yikes. Okay.
Oh, this is the tone control, not the tone jerk, Scott.
Hey, what's the difference really? Considering at this point we're just on a ripping each other off circle jerk.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
what's a the control jerk.
Whoa. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, all right. Justin's like, all right, I got a new name now.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Instead of the moderator, it's like, I'm the control jerk.
Okay, so there was this theory that we were going to talk about recording stuff, and then of course we've now been recording for like over an hour and haven't talked about it at all. Is that something you guys sincerely want to talk about, or was that just or were we going to fill time?
Oh,
yeah, because apparently we
it was
don't
just
need
funny.
it.
Yeah, we don't need it. I do have like a whole like recording the recording podcast is one of my notes on my phone. So I'm like, oh well, yeah, he's
There we go. I'll take a break, guys. You guys can continue. No.
How about here's a quick
Okay.
one. This might be for some people who are doing a lot of
I
home
thought he was
recording
really
on their
going
own.
to take a break.
No.
No.
For people who are like, a lot of people are doing home recording and shit like that, right? And so some mics that they might have in their locker, or they might just have a few, would be like, okay, say a 58 for vocals. Maybe they also play in a band, right?
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, I want to record guitars. Is a 57. For you, what would be a good budget mic? This is mainly for Justin. that somebody would get for a home recording that is going to make sense and not be like a piece of shit? Let's say if somebody, hey, I recorded vocals for my band. Okay, Justin, can you mix these? What would you suggest for them?
Okay. I will start with a story. There's a guy who is sort of in and out of a band. Like he records by, the band is called Two Cheers. And I've worked with him on a few occasions. He's also done a lot of like home recording. It's like sort of in between. It's like when he feels like he wants to spend, he like hires out some things. Sometimes he has a band. Sometimes it's just him. Anyway, but the point is I've mixed like a couple of albums worth of stuff from him. And the last album I did from him, he recorded all of his vocals with an Earthworks microphone. Now this is one of these omnidirectional, it's like basically a reference mic. It's a super unusual thing. It has this tiny little skinny neck and the capsule is like a Q-tip head.
Pencil. Yeah. Okay.
But they're extremely flat and accurate. It's like an unbelievably neutral mic. So he literally held it. It's not meant to be a handheld. He held it and sang into it. Okay. And he was like, I don't know why, but I love my voice with this. Is that okay? And I was like, yeah, sounds fine. Like, whatever.
Yeah, just pay me. Yeah.
So, no, but it did actually sound good.
Yeah.
And I get to the end of the process. We're in like mix revision round 2.
Okay, yeah.
And then he tells me one of those songs he recorded with a 58 instead. And it was because he was just jamming and like hadn't really finished the lyrics yet, but he really liked that. He was like, I don't think I need to change this. And he didn't. And he didn't tell me that. And I mixed the whole album and I didn't know. Now, like, obviously, like I went in and I could open them up right now and look at my EQ and probably figure out which one it was. But in the context of the mix, by the time I had sort of done what I felt sounded good on the EQ and stuff, I didn't know that he had done a different mic on that song.
Yeah.
So literally, like, if you don't have any microphones and you want to start recording, get a 57. I actually don't say 58 because the 58's the one that's like a vocal oriented.
Yeah.
It's almost the same mic. The 58 has the windscreen on it, which I don't care about. If I'm recording, I don't care about a windscreen. It's like for stage. Yeah. It's practically the same mic. And then if you wanted to like really go to town, you guys are using SM7Bs. I mean, that's a top microphone. That's a microphone you'll never outgrow. And you can use it for instruments. You can use it for drums. You can use it for vocals. You can use it for anything you want. It's kind of low output, but that's the only thing you have to contend with. And that's fine. It's bloody fine, especially for an instrument because your instruments are loud. So I don't worry that much about microphones. And I think get something that's cheap and reliable. I mean, a 57's like $100 still. There's no reason to go like the Samson version of that's cheaper because it's already pretty cheap and it'll last forever. And by the time you actually need something else, you will know what you need because you will have spent enough time with it. So easy answer.
And
nice.
Yeah, definitely. I've seen like people compare the SM7 or SM57 with SM7B. Like I'm like, oh, here's like a side by side of this. You just get like one of their like larger foam like microphone windscreens that come from Shure for the 57, and it. Like, it's a little bit more full on than just like, whatever the cheap foam ones that you get, whatever musician's friend or something like that, music gear. And it's probably like what I'm looking at it now, it's like, maybe $30, $40 maybe for one of the Shure ones that is meant for a 57.
Mm-hmm.
And the person did like a side by side of like, oh, for a podcast. Okay. These are like $400, the SM7s.
Around there, I would think. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he's like, okay. And I used the SM57 and I'm like, oh man, that track sounds so, and you do like here's A versus B. And I'm like, to me, I'm like, man, that one sounds so much better. Jesus, I'm so glad I have my SM7. And then like they did the reveal at the end. I'm like, fuck.
You got it wrong. But that's it. Because it's different people's voices too, because some people, the the 57 is going to complement their voice better. There's these rumors that the 57 or the SM7B is the same capsule as a 57, which is also the same capsule as a 58. I don't think that's true. But there are subtle differences, and there's been differences over the years of manufacture between just even with the 57 itself. I have a couple of different versions of 57, and one of them's old enough to have the Unidyne 3 label on it, and head to head, they sound different. And I keep them around because they're just a slightly different color. But if you only had one, it doesn't matter which one you have. Like that, they're not different enough for that. And like with the SM7B, you're paying for the form factor a little bit, that yoke, and because it's meant to sort of be used the way you're using it. And there's also the filters on the back, the switchable EQ and stuff. And it probably has a different transformer. It probably has a different capsule in it. But with that head-to-head, you can hear the difference. But if somebody's recording and they have a 58 or a 57 and the next person has an SM7 and you take those recordings and then you EQ them and compress them, you're fine. Like, it's not a big deal. And even with that A-B comparison, somebody's voice just might, maybe somebody has a particularly nasally voice and the SM7B is going to make them sound really honky in that register, and they're going to have to EQ that out to try to fix it. Well, maybe that's not the mic you pick, you know? Are you laughing because I said honky?
Yeah, I was saying, what are you talking about, cracker? All right.
Kyle, like, my ears are burning.
Yeah. I am.
But I
am.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that's like kind of like maybe one thing that I'm like, oh, somebody actually got some information out of this podcast. Pretty much, if you have a 57, you can record anything.
Yeah. I've gotten recordings from people who they did it at home and they're like, I have two 57s and I just played my guitar and sang. And
cool. You have one more than you need.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing was, that was actually the thing I'm thinking of. They sent me, there was just a ton of bleed on it because it's sort of inevitable. But I used the Isotope RX music rebalance to separate them. So this is this AI. Sorry, I'm losing my voice here, I guess, apparently. There's this AI processor in the new Isotope RX, and it analyzes and separates like the vocal from the rest of the stuff. And not like not in a way like if I push solo, like I can hear little twinkles of the guitar making it through, and likewise on the guitar track. But as a way of separating them, EQing them separately, and then putting them back into the mix together, it was amazing. I was able to completely change the level between them and stuff like that. So I sent back to her like this adjusted thing, and it was like from the track that had all this bleed on it, was like, that's ridiculous. And that's all with 57. Cool. 2 57s, I guess.
And also, I guess that's also the magic in the mix and in the box, you know?
Yeah, well, and it's that tool because that's not something I could do a year ago. Because that tool, then they made music rebalance and it was like, this can do what? That's actually magic.
Yeah. So. But nice.
Okay. All right. Well, we don't need to go all night or day. So I think this was fun. If they can get one thing out of it, it's that you don't need anything besides a 57. Although if you do have something besides a 57, you should definitely brag about it.
I thought you were going to say we don't need Derek to have fun. Oh, but
Well, if Derek was here, it would have been a ton of fun, but he would have had to make me a new graphic because we would have needed 4 cameras, and that'll be next time. We'll set something up with 4 cameras, and then we'll see. We'll really put my computer to the test at that point.
Just the fan going. Woo!
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, in that case, what do you guys? What links do you want to send people to on your end at Tone Jerks?
I'd say tonejerks.com. You'll link all the podcasts and YouTube over there. Or if you're already on YouTube here, check out the YouTube channel. So the Tone Jerks, we're not only doing video podcasts over there, but we're doing guitar content. So not like I'd mentioned before, demos. Doing some studio tours. We're doing some kind of more vloggy stuff over there. And then Kyle's got some music that he's been working on too. What was your YouTube channel?
Should be something to do with Sunrunner YouTube. I can't remember. I don't usually post that much, but yeah, it's Sunrunner.
Okay.
Search that, you'll find it.
If you can find it, good luck.
I don't have enough subscribers to have like a link, like a website. So it's all right.
Yeah, or we'll give it to Justin. He can put it in the show notes.
We'll figure out. It's like XYT capital Z, those types of things.
Oh yeah.
Oh, wow.
You should actually just read
you
it
meant
out.
like it's a YouTube, right? Because with YouTube, unless you have like 10,000 subscribers or something, you can't have a custom link.
Yeah.
So we're talking
What's
about
the
all
website?
bullshit. The numbers and shit.
Yeah, I think it's.
I
Yeah.
thought he was telling me he couldn't remember like what his YouTube username
Oh
was.
no. Kyle, like
You
gun to
searched
his head,
up-
tell me all 37 characters.
I don't know. You'll have to kill me.
Well, I think you just need 100, and
100? I don't think we have.
we're YouTube.com/the Tone Jerks.
Oh,
So,
you guys are such hot shit.
Yeah.
Damn.
So you can get that, and same thing at the Tone Jerks on Instagram, and then Facebook. We have the group. Just search the Tone Jerks, you'll find it.
You'll find it.
And
I'm sorry I'm not on your
yeah.
Facebook group. I literally don't use Facebook. I turned Facebook on for the first time in at least 2 years to message you guys to say, would you please show up and talk to me?
And I was like, hey Justin, what about this? Hey Justin, what about this? Hey Justin, and then I was just like,
Yeah.
left unread.
I logged in to hey, you guys want Derek's going to be missing. And I see messages from like 6 months ago asking me questions. And I was like, oh my God, I'm such a dickhead.
And then I'm like, I could just join their Discord. I'm like, you saw how hard it was for me to figure this out.
I had equally a hard time getting in here.
Yeah, well.
See, Kyle and I we're boomers. We don't understand how to use Discord.
That's bullshit. How old are you?
I think we're both maybe younger than you. I think we're 33. We're 33. How you're like?
I'm going to be 39 in May, guys.
See, yeah, but like we're actual like in our heads, in our minds, in our hearts,
Your
in our
own
hearts.
souls.
We're exactly. I'm just, but only not the wise part, just the crotchety part. What the hell is this computer shit? That's me. Kyle and I were like, God damn it! Back in my day. Anyways, you're trying to land a plane here.
Yeah, don't worry, it's fine. Yeah, so anyway, that's where you'll find those guys if you can find it, because apparently you have to search. No, tonejerks.com. It's easy. Don't worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
You got it. Honestly, thanks guys so much. I am going to read a bunch of crap here about how you should probably join us in Discord, even though these guys are crotchety old men and can't be bothered. There is
it's cool if you're with it.
It's cool if Discord's fun, and there's a bunch of channels here. We do a lot of chat and stuff like that. If you're in the Tone Jerks Facebook group, it's in a lot of ways it's similar to that. Derek likes to remind people that it is not a social network, in the sense that like for people for whom this matters, Discord's business model is paid. It's not advertising. So like Discord is free, but if you want to, you can buy whatever they call it. I'm not going to advertise for them, whatever. You can basically buy the ability to have extra powers and stuff like that. And then you can use fancy graphics, and it's very flashy and it's extra fun. That's how they make money. You can pay them if you want, and you don't have to. Anyway, discord.io/tone control. And if you want to support the show, visit us on Patreon at patreon.com/thetone control. And you can be a supporter like these guys, which is why I read their names every week, every other week. And for $2 a month, you get to be in the special secret group that gets in here and gets to throw gifts at us and heckle during the show, which was actually pretty minimal. You guys didn't get heckled that bad. Usually they complain about me a lot more in most episodes. So I think you should feel pretty okay about that. So Patreon supporters this week. Oh, there it is.
Oh,
Eric,
great.
that's true. Eric wasn't here. Eric throws a lot of shade. What name should we... Wait, you guys get to name Eric this week then. Dear chat, Eric changes his name every week in the rundown here of Patreon, and now you guys get to come up with it. Oh, I like that. Okay, we can do that. unless somebody comes up with something better by the by the time I get down there. This supporters include Carson Ricketts, Nick Greenwood, Timmy S., Matthew Fenslaw, Reisenwolf, Jamie Evans, Jeffrey Wright, Doug King, Doug Gann, Righteous Ryan Johnson, Steve Huffman, Jonas Sabatini. I think I wrote something weird in here. Shreddy McShredderson. We're going with that.
Yeah.
Andrew Walsh from Andrew's Alcove, OG friend of the show, Brian Rizzi, Doug Christ of 37 Effects, Sean Wright of Lollygagger Effects, and a couple of jerks.
There you go.
That's it. And
We're definitely jerks because I never said, and I should have said it at the beginning, thanks for having us on.
Yeah.
Hey, wait, actually, while the theme music is going, can you give me, can you clap in front of the cameras? Each of you one at a time?
Right. Brian.
I'll go. Go.
Wait, I couldn't hear that. How come I couldn't hear that?
Compression's way too loud.
It's probably because Discord blocked it out. That's
Says
fine. That's for
one
sync.
at a time.
That's
Kyle,
for sync.
go for it.
Did that
You
work?
did it. That works. That's for sync. I just forgot to do it before.
All right, here's Brian.
Fantastic. Okay. Thanks, guys. We'll catch you jerks next time, I guess. That's a weird way to end. Oh, well, it's fine.
Like I said, I got to have you on our show.
Yeah.